seems like you're throwing an anchor to people that are already drowning in a lot of ways. You have the opportunity to be the voice of a generation and a voice to a generation. A voice to a generation, I think you're doing a pathetic job. The greatest needs in the street are hope, trust, and dignity. And I've studied your stuff pretty closely, and there are no signs of it.
I'm trying to tell people to believe in themselves because that's all that they have to believe in.
I've watched the videos, but I don't see anything, and I don't hear anything, apart from the fact that it's pretty terrible music. But I don't hear anything that I haven't heard before.
What's interesting about the videos and the lyrics of the songs is the iconography, and I think you mentioned it off the top. The millennial resonance is very strong. You've got clear apocalyptic imagery, the bombed out urban landscape, you've got the marking of the body, and these images that are drawn from the kind of post-nuclear wardrobe of Mad Max and after. So I have to say I agree with Greg about the music, because I think the best song that you recorded somebody else wrote.
In your life, is there an opportunity for salvation? Like, I cling to my salvation pretty intensely. Do you understand salvation?
That's what my whole record's about, what I struggled through, and I think the answer in the end is your only salvation is yourself.
But you are someone who calls himself a reverend and preaches to people, and yet you still don't want to take responsibility when people get the wrong take on your message.
Well, that's just as ridiculous as saying, should I blame Hootie and the Blowfish for making my life completely boring?
You seem quite intelligent when being interviewed. Does it occur to you that by promoting self-mutilation, you're giving the message to millions of fans that harming themselves is a cool thing to do?
It's actually a very Christian ritual. If you look back in history, it was something, flailing and self-mutilation was something that people used to do to repent for their sins.
If you're just getting people to reflect and think about their own pain and confront it, okay, I mean, that's valid. But what I'm saying, what do you do afterwards? What do you give them to replace it with? I mean, it seems with you that pain and understanding of it is just an end in itself, rather than a means to self-realization.
We have 12 and 13-year-olds on the street who take you almost as their role model because their parents have messed them over, and I know you understand it because that's part of your message.
You can't blame me for how parents raise their kids, and you can't blame me for the phenomenon of violence being glorified. I mean, it was there way before I've ever existed.
But I can blame you as a thinking adult.
Art is art. It's out there. You know, you either put bums on seats or you don't. And I deplore the idea of this turning into some kind of censorship session. You know, people like it, people don't. But let's not forget that what Mrs. Marilyn is selling.
Mrs. Marilyn, I think you'll answer to that. Yeah, go ahead.
Is doing is selling records. I mean, this is not art.
There's different ways you can interpret the music. There's two kinds of people in the world: people who like Marilyn Manson, people who are jealous. So.
The beautiful people, 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 the beautiful people.
Qu'est-ce que vous aimez de Marilyn Manson? La musique, le personnage, l'album, la
haine.
Quelle sorte de haine?
La haine générale, c'est du défoulement pur. Moi, j'aime ça quand j'écoute ça. C'est simple, c'est carré, pas besoin de réfléchir.
C'est lui qui se défoule ou c'est toi qui se défoule?
Les deux. C'est moi, les deux. Hein.
What do you think of everything that's around Marilyn Manson? The serial killers, the glamour, the fashion?
I don't know about the glamour. The serial killers, I've been fascinated with it. In psychology, so I like that.
La plupart des choses qu'il dit, ça provient des livres de Anton LaVey. Okay. C'est le fondateur de Church of Satan à San Francisco. Parce que Marilyn Manson, il est reverend dans la Church of Satan. Alors c'est sûr que la plupart des choses, les commentaires qu'il va dire souvent, ça provient de là.
qu'ils preach? C'est quoi leur mot d'ordre?
OK, c'est surtout l'indigence au lieu de l'abstinence.
OK.
Comme au lieu de s'empêcher de vivre d'après tous les 10 commandements puis tous les péchés là, que l'Église catholique donne, c'est plutôt vivre à 100%, comme profite de la vie comme maintenant. Laisse-toi pas piétiner. Comme c'est un peu une philosophie très à la Nietzsche, tu sais.
J'aime tout, là, c'est sa philosophie en général, là. C'est pas des paroles insensées comme tu vas voir dans D-Dance ou de stupidité de même, là.
I like the music. I like his affiliation with Trent. I love Nine Inch Nails better, but...
Je trouve que c'est une philosophie qui a bien du sens. C'est au lieu de croire en quelque chose que tu peux pas toucher comme Dieu. Ou, je veux dire, c'est quelque chose qui marche plus vraiment de nos jours. Je veux dire, il y a du monde qui essaye encore, comme des groupes comme Jars of Clay. Comme. La plupart des gens qui écoutent Jars of Clay, ils commencent par c'est la musique, c'est le commercial. Puis après ça, comme là, ils voient le message après, tu sais.
Alors que Marilyn Manson, c'est le contraire, le message passe avant la musique?
D'une certaine façon, oui, car juste avec leur image, comme déjà là, ils ont une certaine allure, comment je peux dire, comme sinistre. Ouais. Alors, d'une certaine façon, le message passe déjà à l'avance. Le monde peut avoir une certaine idée de quoi s'attendre. Personnellement, que ce soit Marilyn Manson ou non, je veux dire, comme que tu appelles ça satanisme ou n'importe quoi, je trouve que la plupart des gens aujourd'hui, ils agissent de cette façon-là sans le savoir. Je veux dire, même des gens qui s'appellent des bons chrétiens là, ou des bons catholiques, je veux dire, ils agissent d'une façon libertine, tu sais. Ils vont plus à l'église le dimanche pour...
Fais-tu triper qu'il y ait ce look-là ou au contraire, tu trouves qu'il y a un métro?
Je sais pas. Ben, d'après moi, il n'existe pas pour eux autres. Là. Ils ont plus l'air d'un comic book que d'autres choses. Je pense à la dernière fois que je vais les voir parce que je leur donne pas longtemps ce groupe-là.
On sait tous, on va sortir vivant ce soir.
Describe, first of all, a rock star?
I would just show them a picture of me, I guess. I'm not ashamed, to be that, because it's not a bad thing. I mean, I'm an entertainer, I'm a musician, and people like what I do, and that's not it doesn't make you an egoist to say that. It's just, I'm accepting it, and I'm not trying to deny it or, to avoid it.
Would you say right now bands are boring or lazy, maybe, compared to what you do or what people used to do?
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, it was a good thing to be a rock star. It was something that people looked up to, something that people identified with. But in the early 90s, it became, derogatory to be a rock star, and it was... people wanted to be an everyday guy and pretend that, you weren't this and that. But I think people that like music also want to identify with the personality behind that. And I've just tried to bring personality back to rock and roll because it's very boring.
There's two sides of you. There's the Marilyn side, the Manson side, there's Superstar side, the Antichrist side. Is there a side that wants to eat up the other sometimes?
Well, even on the record, there's a real struggle between, the Marilyn Manson side of me and the Antichrist Superstar, because that's the element of my personality and everybody's personality that is very nihilistic and wants, you know, to end everything and has a total distrust for mankind. Whereas, you know, my normal personality is much more balanced, much more extreme beauty and ugliness. But Antichrist Superstar is the totalitarian element that's in everybody that kind of wants to use their power for more destructive than creative means.
The boy that you loved is the man that you fear.
What would you say at first attracted you to serial killers?
I was more attracted to America's fascination with it. It's a very Western phenomenon. You don't find serial killers in other countries. It's because in North America, people identify with them so much because I think people realize that they're not very different from them, that they have a lot of the same emotions. And for me, I see a real parallel between serial killers and artists. It's just I've chosen this to express my anger and my anguish, and they've chosen a different way, but they take the same type of care in what they do. And they're very, you know, it's kind of disturbing in that, but.
How would you describe a sex symbol?
That's hard to say. I mean, the things that I like, most people think are ugly, so.
And how do you react to that?
Well, I mean, that's, you know, even a song like Beautiful People is really a statement about the fascism of beauty and how everyone, you know, tries so hard to fit into the status quo, and how, you know, I'm suggesting that you create your own standards.
You are a reverend on the Satan's Church, is that it? Is that the correct way to say it?
Yeah, I mean, I also used to be a Boy Scout, so it's one of my different qualifications.
But
I mean,
what does a reverend do?
Well, I'm into philosophy and Satanism, along with Nietzsche, Freud, Darwin.
Your fans talk a lot about Nietzsche too.
I like different ways of thinking, and Satanism is a philosophy that's about, it's widely misunderstood and sensationalized as being devil worship, but it's just about self-preservation and individuality, and the word Satan kind of represents the ultimate rebellion against God and authority.
Sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree?
What would be your sweet dreams, or what do you dream of?
Well, everything, all the lyrics to Antichrist Superstar were all, you know, documented dreams that I've had over the past 5 or 6 years, you know, whether it's dreams of, you know, becoming a star, dreams of the end of the world, and in the end it became a synthesis of the two, about being a star at the end of the world.
You also said that this last album, Antichrist Superstar, was to release tension that's in the world right now. How do you relieve the tension that you personally go through?
Well, first by making that album, and by performing every night is very ritualistic. That's a catharsis for me, and then it becomes a bond between me and the audience because we share each other's feelings.
Sometimes a sad side of being so different, or a freak show kind of. When you go to the supermarket, do you sometimes say, quit looking at me, you jerk, or something?
I used to, but I've kind of blind to it now. I just avoid it all. I mean, I can't blame people for, you know, reacting towards me because I've chosen to be like this. So, you know, I'm the only one I could blame for that.
Someone broke in and taped us while we slept.
You said that selling that much albums made you mainstream, but maybe gave you access to the power somebody has in mainstream to change things.
Absolutely. I mean, the only way you can really make a change is if everyone's listening. So it would be ignorant for me to, say what I had to say if there was no one to say it to. So the more people, the better. But that doesn't cheapen or dilute anything that I do, because I think the band has only gotten more extreme since the beginning, and no one could really complain about our content.
Listening to what you have to say and to your albums and who you are, it seems like you're doing a thesis on what people are, American society, psychology, philosophy. It's kind of your way of researching that.
It's always been a science project for me, on fear and on culture. And the people who are offended by it are missing the point, usually, because the things that they're offended by are the things that they would most likely agree with, but they're looking at them the wrong way. And it's the people who don't want to admit that they can relate to what I'm saying are the ones that are most offended, because they're afraid of themselves.